Okay guys, so over here they weren't even gonna rent us a motorcycle. They wanted us to rent two for about $40 for a couple hours. And then over here they're saying that we have to rent 150 cc's and it was gonna be $25. Okay, we are at the ferry to go to Udo. Trying to get this as soon as possible because it seems like the ferry is about to leave. Okay guys, as soon as you enter on the ride, you have to fill that boarding pass out first. Very simple, you just put your name, your birthday, and your telephone number. That's it. And then afterwards, walk over to the ticketing counter. For a regular adult, it's going to be 8,500 won for a round trip. Okay, so you should be carrying your ID everywhere, but just in case, you definitely need your ID. Okay, so another thing to note is if you've rented a scooter, it's free to park. You can park right next to the ticketing office. If you own the scooter, you can take it to Udo, but if it's a rental, you have to park it. By the way, I'm really liking this scooter, but I think this is only gonna be available near the airport. So once you turn right from the ticketing office, you can get to the ferry, but they do have a jet boat option there. They even have a submarine option. What the hell? Okay, so these people are already lining up. Come here because we're individuals. Individual is cane. If you own your car, you can definitely take it. It's extra cost. You have to talk to them about it. Alright. Pretty small ferry actually. Ones in Thailand are a lot bigger. Whoa! Okay, this is super Korean. You can put your shoes on the center and then just chill out on the ground here. So we're taking off. It is currently 1:15. Let's see how long it takes to get there. Okay. Oh, the captain was just like swearing on the microphone. Okay, so we just arrived. It is exactly 15 minutes from when we took off from Jejudo. So it's a really short trip to Udo Island. The car's gotta wait for the people to go out first. That's interesting to us because in Thailand, the cars go out first and then the people have to wait. So we actually have absolutely no idea how to get around this island. It is actually a relatively large island. So, okay, so based on the prices we're asking here, maybe a few hours of rental time, they're charging us $20. So that's a lot, considering that we're renting ours for less than $20 a day. So I can see why they just recently passed a legislation that doesn't allow rented scooters and cars into this island. I mean, this is probably a thriving business for the residents of Udo, gouging us on the prices of rental scooters and whatnot. Alright, yeah, we've been sort of haggling with these people. They're definitely hagglers. This particular place, they're really trying to rip us off. They weren't even gonna allow us to rent like a smaller motorcycle, saying that you need to rent two because it's only for one person. 이 오토바이 하나.
뭐 있어요? 면허증 있으세요?
네.
면허증 한국 면허증.
국제 거 있어요.
국제 면허증 있으세요?
네.
국제 면허증 한번 보여주세요.
By the way, you definitely need an international license.
띠엔똥 바이스콜.
Alright, so some of them were saying that we need like a stamp on the A area, but it sort of seems like it's based on discretion. Okay, it seems like this place specializes in renting to Chinese people.
코스 다 말씀드렸어요. 우선 올라가서 등대에서 좌측으로 내려가라. 등대 쳐다방향에서.
잠깐만요. 그럼 여기 가서 여기까지 몇 시간 걸려?
여기
몇 분?
올라가서 여기까지에서 여기까지 가는데 제 생각에 1시간 만에서 2시간 정도.
한두 시간이요? 걸어서요?
계속 걸어서.
Alright, just completely turned off by the whole rental experience. Everyone is trying to rip you off, and the one decent person there that wasn't gonna completely rip us off, she had to go to the main Jeju Island, so she couldn't rent us anything because she's just taking all the rentals back and wanted to leave. Instead, we went to one of the buses and he was super polite. He told us exactly where to go, what sights to see here, and it was only $1 to get on there. So $2 altogether. And based on his recommendation, we should only get on the bus twice and pretty much see all there is really worth seeing out here and spend a total of $4. Just when we thought, oh okay, that tour bus guy was polite, he really helped us out, we see like the local bus going straight to the viewpoint here in Udo. We realized we could have just taken that and avoided walking up like we are. But it seems like a very short walk. I'm not going to complain too much about it. But just saying, I'm not sure if you should come to Udo. We'll figure out if this is really worth it, but I just feel like people are very shysty here. I feel like I'm in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City again. So the Jejudo definitely isn't like that. I mean, all the people we came across and dealt with are pretty straightforward, but here, to locals and foreigners alike, they seem to be very shysty. So it's just giving me a bad feeling about this place in general. Okay, so this is a map of Udo right here. Basically, we are heading towards UdoBong, which is a viewpoint in Udo. Seems to be like the most popular point. If you want to go here, don't do what we did, but just take the regular bus and it'll take you right to the entrance. And then you'll be walking onto this road right here by this Genghis Khan horse experience place. And this is stunning. We will be walking up to the right where it forks and walking up along that hill up to that lighthouse.
I think Nagasaki is closer than Seoul. You see? Fukuoka, Seoul here. Fukuoka is closer.
Okay guys, this is basically what we paid $10 to see. It is pretty amazing. Off in the distance you see Jejudo and the other UNESCO site we'll be visiting later. And then you might be able to see that red lighthouse where we took the ferry from. And then the red lighthouse on Udo Island that the ferry arrives on. And then the small port right there, where the rip-off scam artists are. And you see the short distance we walk to get to this viewpoint. Okay, so I'm afraid of heights, but I'll go as close as I feel comfortable. We are here on the edge of the viewpoint, and we can see what the tour guide was saying as far as you need a boat. But basically, you'll see this cliff, and I believe there's a cave below it. Okay guys, just finished taking all the pictures and videos around that cliff area, which is the first viewpoint, and we're gonna be walking up to the second viewpoint area, which is the highest point here. Okay guys, so we are at the top of this viewpoint, the highest point of Udo. And me and Mayu have decided we're gonna cut our losses short and head back to Jejudo. They're having sex. He's like, don't let them do it. Yeah, horsies. Cock blocked. Bonk. Go! Okay, so we're on that Udo Param bus that we saw going up to the viewpoint. This is gonna take us all around the island for 1,000. We'll go ahead and just give you a quick overview of how the rest of Udo looks like from this bus, because we want to get back as soon as we can. Okay, so this is Kumbale Beach. So this is Pyangdo, That's this area up here. Okay, now we are at HaWooMokDong 해수욕장. Looking like this. Okay, so we're now at HaWooMokDong port. It's the other port that's in Udo. So we thought that this bus was gonna circle around Udo, but instead it just dropped us off at this other port. We're gonna see if we can just take this ferry back to the same port we came from in Jejudo. So there are two ports in Udo. The one we arrived at is Cheonjin. We actually circled around in that bus all the way here to the second port, which is HaWooMokDong. Now, HaWooMokDong, however, goes to two different ports in Jejudo. One is Cheonjin, but you have to make sure you're gonna go to Seongsan. This lady, however, was kind enough to let us know we can take the same ferry with the return ticket that we got from Jejudo, as long as we fill in another boarding card. We just realized that Udo means Cow Island
I realized that before a long time ago.
because U means cow in Chinese. It just started to rain, so I'm gonna go in before my camera dies on me. Alright, we're back at Jejudo, the same port. It took roughly about 30 minutes. It is a longer trip to the other port. Okay guys, we spent a ton of time at Udo Island. Now it's almost 5 o'clock. The sun's gonna probably set soon. It's starting to rain. This is not good. But we're gonna still hit up the last UNESCO site, which is Seongsan ilchulbong. It seems pretty big. We keep seeing it in the distance. So we're gonna troop it out and try to make it back to Seogwipo in one piece. Alright guys, we are at Seongsan ilchulbong. I think that translates into Sunrise Peak. That's ironic though, is they tell us that the sun rises around 6:30, but entrance starts from 7:30 and ends at 6. You have to be out of the park by 7. It's only 2,000 won, about $2 to enter, and it takes about 50 minutes to go to the top of the peak and back. We are at this entrance and there are two routes up to the peak. The one thing that's sort of a bummer here is that they don't allow food, so no soju at the peak. So it is a climb that has steps. You cannot take your motorcycle up there. We had to make sure. So it's 5:45 because we spent too much time at Udo Island. So we want to get back as soon as possible so we're not stuck out in the rain, in the dark. So safety before anything. But in hindsight, this seems like an awesome place. I highly recommend you come here when it's sunny. Definitely seems like the most scenic peak here in Jejudo that we've seen. Okay, so now we're gonna head back to Seogwipo. It is almost twice the distance as yesterday, so it might take us about 2 hours to get back there. And it's unfortunate because it seems like, based on the map, that you are driving a lot more on the coast. We're very curious how the eastern coast of Jejudo looks like because we had such a great time yesterday. Thanks again guys for checking out the video, and I'm sorry if I sounded a bit negative, but it was just in the morning that they just really turned us off, and then the folk village as well. I mean, it was just a bad morning in general, and it was rainy, and I think we're just in a bad mood. But you know, the reason that it wasn't as good is probably not a fault of Udo Island, but it's just because Jeju Island in general is such an amazing island that we had such an amazing time that it just paled in comparison to the rest of the island. So I just didn't understand the hype behind Udo Island. But if you do have more time, more than 2 full days in Jeju Island, this is definitely a place worth visiting. And as long as you follow our advice and avoid, you know, the issues that we had, I think you'll have an amazing time here regardless. Whatever the case, I hope to see you guys next week, and subscribe if you haven't already, as we're gonna show you more about Jeju Island. And check out our previous video if this is your first one. Thanks again, guys, and have a great week. See you next week for more vlogs about living and traveling in Asia. Okay guys, so this is the road you're gonna have to pass if you want to get to Udo. But on the right hand side, you can stop off and judge for yourself, but I think this is the best place to take a picture. We saw it on the way, but we thought, okay, the weather's gonna clear up later, but unfortunately it got worse. Mayu was also pointing out that just the algae and the sea floor here with the different colors, if there was sunlight, it should look good too. Mayu is a sea expert, so I refer to her expertise. Okay guys, so see that big mountain? That's the mountain that you saw in the video when we were in Udo, etc. But same distance. But check this place out.
7 meters away from there.
Huh.
Just 7
Yeah, so we're 7 kilometers southwest of Seongsan Ilchulbong, the UNESCO site that we didn't have time to go at. But this place is completely deserted. We have maybe come across 1 or 2 cars in the last kilometer stretch. Udo, for being a place where it's supposed to be very natural, it is just full of tourists and super commercialized. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to take any more videos until we get back because we're pretty far away and it's getting dark, so we're trying to book it back. But what I do want to say is that we sort of regret going to Udo. I will, however, say that particular view that we got at the viewpoint is the best view we did get from Jejudo, but I don't think it's worth the time and money invested. It is very possible that we are biased because we had that horrible haggling experience with a motorcycle, but that's just how it is. Aside from that one old lady who was about to leave and couldn't rent us a motorcycle, everybody else was really shiesty. I can tell a shiesty haggler having been in Southeast Asia dealing with these tourist trap areas, and that was the only place we came across that. And we must have seen maybe 10 times as much people as we did this whole trip just on that supposedly natural UNESCO island. So if that is sort of your scene, highly recommend it. There's just tons and tons and tons of shops there. I can tell based on the signage and stuff that recently there's been a lot of TV features on there because Koreans have a thing of going to tourist sites where all these TV shows are featuring. And I can tell that some of the latest TV shows have featured that place on their TV show, and they're just mass touring over there. So it's possible in maybe another year or two it's gonna become less touristy and commercialized, and it's gonna be okay. We'll be back here, and now we know where to go. Hopefully you learn from our mistakes and you pick and choose the right places to go to with the few days you have here, and you're able to fully enjoy this awesome island.